What's going on, YouTube? Q back here again with another video for you. Today's video, I'm about to tell y'all about my abysmal experience. So if you don't know, I sold my Acura Integra to Vroom, and the process took quite some time. And to compare it to Carvana, it took like 7 to 9 days on Carvana, and Vroom took over a month to get this deal done. And I'll go through the process of the steps in which I took, what I expected to happen, and what actually happened to get this problem rectified. So I'd be lying if I said I was satisfied with what happened. There's only one thing I was satisfied, well, two things I was satisfied about this whole process, and I'll get into that in this video. So I'd like to give a shout out to the men of culture. Got 100 Gang Nate, Race Car Friends, Blueprint 1LE. Shout out to the brothers, go sub to their channel. But back to this Vroom story. So Vroom is an online dealership, and there's a few of them out there. Like I mentioned Carvana earlier, so I think Vroom, Carvana might be two of the biggest ones. I see Kelly Blue Book does instant offers, and there's also like Car Gurus, they'll give you an offer as well. But Vroom has been on point as far as the price that they pay you. And with the process, first you put in your VIN, your license plate, and the state that you're in, and they'll give you an offer in a few minutes by email. And that offer is good for 7 days. So when they give you that offer, you get 7 days to accept or reject. And there's a process that has to happen within the 7 days. So if you accept it on the 6th day, more than likely you're gonna have to reapply. But let me tell you what happened in my case. So I knew I wanted a quick sale. So as soon as they gave me the offer, I accepted it. So after I accepted it, you got to put in like your personal information, like your name, address, and then ask more serious questions like your banking information, because if you are positive on the car, they'll send you a check at the end of the transaction. Or if not, then you have to put in your banking information to do an ACH. You send a wire or send a check to pay off the remaining balance after they give you their offer price. And that's what I had to do, the latter. So I had to send a check to Vroom to pay off my car. And then once I paid Vroom, they send a full check to pay off the car to my banking institution. So like I said, for my account, I was able to just log into my bank, and I chose to do it by ACH, which is a way of debit. So it's just like swiping and instant transaction. So I'll get to this later on. And then after you do that, they want you to take a picture of the registration, your license, and the odometer reading, because after you accept this offer, I believe it's like 250 miles so you can drive to make this offer valid. So if 7 days elapses, or if you go past the 250 miles, then you got to fill out again for another estimate. So in my case, after I did all of this, like I said, I put in my banking information and I logged in. So Vroom was supposed to contact my bank and get a 10-day payoff. And what a 10-day payoff is when you want to pay off a car within 10 days, it shows the amount of interest on those 10 days and the amount of interest accrued for each day. So it's like a daily interest rate on that. That's what every dealership will use if they buy a car from you, a 10-day payoff. So I got that done, and waiting for the 10-day payoff to get sent from my bank to Vroom. Sometimes they give people a hard time on getting payoffs, because like the M2 that I sold to City of Cars, they wouldn't give City of Cars the 10-day payoff as well. So it took some time. So they said it's just easier for me to do it. So Vroom said the exact same thing. So a few days passed, like 3 or 4 days passed. They're like, hey, we can speed up this process if you get the 10-day payoff. And I did that. I sent that to them within a couple hours. And then 2 days go by, and I log into my account and check it, and it says that my offer expired. I'm like, what the heck? I sent them everything. So the ball was in their court, and nothing happened. So I call in like, yo, why did my offer expire? I did everything I was supposed to do on my end. Like, what's going on? Like, let's get this value going back up so we can proceed. And then on my behalf of this, I checked the estimates again. Like, maybe they can offer me more money for the car. And of course the value of the car went down like $700. So I'm like, no way. So they're about to stick to what they offered me initially, because I did everything promptly on my end. Like, if the offer expired, it was all on them. So I ended up calling customer service for like every day for like 2 weeks straight, mind you. So I called them. They like, yeah, we normally don't we won't give you an offer, you got to apply again. I'm like, no, like the ball is in your court. That's just like me calling out of bounds when I don't even have the ball. Like, no, that's on you, man. Like, that's on y'all. I ended up going back and forth. They said they're going to make a claim and escalate it, and then I didn't. They said they would call me back the same day. I didn't hear anything for that day. Called back the next day, like I was supposed to get a call back yesterday. What happened? And then this person said the same thing, like, yeah, once the offer expires, then that's it, you got to apply again. I'm like, I'm not taking less for an offer, and I already seen the offer because I applied for it again from a different email address. I'm like, I'm not taking less than what you guys offered when I submitted every single documentation that you all were supposed to get. I did that promptly. So again, like, that's on y'all. So I'm going back and forth. I get them to honor the prices they said they would pay me the first time, and then they're like, you still got to apply again. I'm like, why can't we just resume what was in? Because now I got to submit all my documentation all over again, and I got to get like a new odometer picture, which isn't a big deal, but I'm like, it's already on file. Can we just move on? But the thing that happened was my account, once I logged in, they're like, my offer is expired. So they sent me a link to go to so I can resume, but logging in with my email address, I couldn't continue. It's just like, offer expired. So I had to create another account with a different email address. This leads to problems in the future. And I was able to accept that offer. So I'm like, all right, cool. Sent in all my information. Got back to the same point again where they would have requested my bank payoff, the 10-day payoff. So I'm like, so I know this step was coming. So I called them like, yo, I can just get you the 10-day payoff so we can move past this step. And they were like, okay. So I sent that to them. So I'm good. I'm just waiting for everything. And mind you, every time I'm doing this, I'm making a phone call every day just to make sure they hold up their end of the bargain. So this second time we're going through, it's the 7th day. And I'm like, the offer's about to expire again. Y'all, is this offer going to expire or not? And they're like, no, the offer is good. We're going to keep going through. I'm like, okay, cool. And then the offer expired. But now I have to deal with them on a phone basis daily now, just because I couldn't resume on the computer, which is super easy and super simple if it worked, but it didn't. So now I'm doing everything by phone now. So next, 2 things happen. I get an email to where I need to pay off the car. So I'm like, all right, what's the amount that I owe? What do I need to cut you guys? Or what do I need to do the ACH for? So I can just essentially swipe in to where it's paid off. And then I need to upload a picture of the title front and back. I'm like, all right, cool. So then as I'm putting in my banking information, it's not going through. So I don't know what's going on. And they never told me the amount that I owed. So I called in, got that amount, and I'm letting them know like, yo, the ACH isn't working. So why it wasn't working is because the offer was expired, and there should be an active link within the active offer. But since it expired, I couldn't use this, so the link was dead to me. So I couldn't use the ACH option. So you know what I had to do? I had to go to the bank and get a cashier's check. And I'm like, oh my God, man. This is supposed to be a simple thing I'm supposed to be able to do from home. So now I'm running around. So they emailed me, so I have to FedEx this in next day. They paid for the next day FedEx, but I have to go get a cashier's check to pay off the balance of the car, drop it off at FedEx, and then wait for the funds to get to them. And that's going to take a couple of days for it to process. Like, they received it the next day, but it takes a couple of days for them to be like, oh, we got it. So then I have to go back to FedEx, because after a couple of days, when the check had processed, I had to go back and send them the actual title. The front and back copy wasn't good enough. So this is where Carvana excels. I never sent Carvana my actual title. I just gave them photos, and that was it. I signed an affidavit to just sign off the whatever everything for the title was. But Vroom, they have to get the actual title. Another FedEx prepaid shipper, thankfully, send it to them and have to wait for them to receive it. A day later, I call like, hey, did you guys receive it? And I'm tracking it. I'm looking at the tracker like, all right, it should be there. So let me know if y'all got it or not. And then like hours later, they confirmed that they did have it. I'm like, all right, cool. Waiting for the next steps. So a few days pass, maybe like 4 to 5 days pass. I get nothing. And from the previous step, after they receive all the documents, they say it can take up to 14 days before they call me to let me know that a shipper will be out there to receive the vehicle. I'm like, okay. Phone calls, I really don't answer my phone a lot, because half the times I receive a call, it's spam, and I generally ignore a lot of calls, even people I know. Sorry about that, folks. I had to wait. So it took like a week to get that phone call, and then they set it up for the next day to come pick up the car. And this was the best process of it. The person that came, she looked at the car, took some pictures on the inside. I was like, oh, you can drive a manual? And she was like, yeah, I can. Only to drive it up on this flatbed. And that process was cool and smooth. Like, by the time the window they gave me, which was like an hour window, they got there within that window on the early side of it. So this part was the smoothest part of it. And customer service was pretty pleasant for the most part. But then things still go wrong here. I'm like, all right, this is the end of the road. I'm just waiting for the funds to settle to where this car is paid off. Because as you know, I got another Integra, which I'm in right now. So after they receive the car, the funds should release within 1 to 2 business days. So I waited for maybe a week or more, and I'm looking at my bank account, and the car loan is still there. I'm like, I wonder what happened. So thankfully, when they send the check off to my bank, or not my bank, so they gave me a tracking number. They got a FedEx account. So this is what came in handy, because my credit union has a lot of letters in it. It's like 4 letters. So my credit union, let's say it's called ABCU. So there's one in Michigan, and on the 10-day payoff, it has an address to wire money to, an address to send the checks to. And for some reason, I'm checking the FedEx shipper, they sent the check to Massachusetts to another ABCU out there. I'm like, the address is on the 10-day payoff. Why would y'all send it there? Like, I called them like, hey man, I think y'all messed up and sent the check to the wrong place. And they're like, no, it takes a couple days. And then he's like checking the notes. Mind you, my notes gotta be like a freaking scroll, the emerald tablets or something, because I called so many times. It became like a part-time job at this point. But I called so many times, and they're reading over the notes. They know they screwed up big time with me. And they're like, oh, it does look like we sent it to the wrong place. I'm like, pretty sure you sent it to the wrong state. I don't know how that can happen, but whatever. So then, thankfully, 2 to 3 days later, I see a 0 balance, and the car was finally paid off. So all in all, let's say what I was satisfied with, the person that came to pick up the vehicle, she was pleasant, did her job, she did it well, got on out of there, did a thorough job. The customer service is pretty good. The people speak with accents. I know when people say press 1 to speak English and things like that, that pisses people off for whatever reason. But the people were pleasant, even though I could tell English wasn't their first language. I was able to understand. What was not pleasant, which this is what I did. I hated this about Vroom. Their policies are just garbage. Like that 7-day window, if you're in the middle of the process or not, it just shuts down immediately. And that's like automatic due to their computer system. It's just after 7 days, if you say you want to go for on the 6th day, they're going to be like, hey, send this info, shut off, start over again, take whatever estimate we give you. That's what you got to do. And unfortunately, like for me, the fastest I could do it, it takes all of 7 days to do this whole process with Vroom from my experience. And like I said, the second time, that 7th day I called them, and then they had me doing stuff on the 4th of July too. They was like, you got 24 hours to send this check to us, or not the check, but I had to get them a picture of the title within 24 hours, or that could just cancel the whole thing. I'm like, dude, it's a holiday, first of all. Man, this process was not ideal, and I just didn't like it. I shouldn't have to, I hate making phone calls. I shouldn't have to talk to people that much for like an online dealership. Like comparing Vroom to Carvana, my Carvana experience was just so seamless, so fast. I didn't have to do anything. I signed like 4 pieces of paper after the estimate. I like sent the odometer and things like that. It was simple. Vroom is the total opposite, but the part where Vroom shined, and this is why I just decided to go with the headache, was because they offered me the most money. And that's what I'm trying to do, is get out of that car and make the most money out of it. And the only other way I could have made more money is if I sold the car privately. But time is of the essence. I needed to make this deal quick, or I wouldn't have this car or my Corolla GR. So the Integra, I've been dealing with this for like over a month. So would I use Vroom again? I honestly can't say. Because if I get another estimate, Vroom was like $2,000 to $3,000 higher than the next highest offer. So, and man, if it's like $1,000 within, and I can go to a local dealership and get my car sold, I'm just gonna take that $1,000 loss, man. Because going through this headache and time that I have to go through, it's just not really worth it, man. It's a hassle. But they give me $2,000-$3,000 more than. I'm gonna have to roll with those punches. Can't really recommend them, but they do help you. Like, those estimates come really fast. Like with my Integra, Vroom, they were able to give me an actual value within minutes. Carvana couldn't give me an estimate on my Integra. It was like, it's not enough information on this car, so they had me take a picture of my window sticker to get to them. So I'm like, okay, whatever it is, and they offered me $29,000 on the Integra, and Vroom offered me $32,232, and some dealerships offered me, the highest dealership was $30,000, and I got as low as $26,000 where I actually bought the car from. So there was a huge variance. And private party, I probably could have got like 33 and a half probably. But Vroom, well, if their processes were good, it would have been like that. But that's my whole experience. If you got time on your side, then roll with those punches. But I think you should, or maybe it's the bank. I know the bank is a holdup, but that second time around, that offer still expired. And I gave, like, as soon as I was ready to give them the banking information, it still took all the 7 days. If you sold a car to Vroom before, drop a comment, let me know. Or if you ever use any other online dealership, because I'm trying to build a community where we can get useful information to not have to deal with these kind of hassles. And unfortunately for me, I had hassles with Vroom. Now, I've heard like nightmare stories with Carvana as well, but my experience with Carvana was A1. Vroom, not as much, but they gave me that money, so I don't know. There's that. Hope you all enjoyed this video. As always, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, browse the channel, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Peace out.